Next problem, indifference of proportion. A cigarette manufacturing firm claims that its brand A is brand A outsells the cigarette brand A outsells its brand by B 8%. So brand A is more than brand B. The selling quantity they are talking about, that is 8%, right? If it is found that 42 out of sample 200 smokers prefer brand A and 18 out of another random sample 100 smokers prefer brand B. So it is clearly given 42 out of a sample of 200. So sample size N1 equal to 200. If X1 is the number of smokers prefer brand A, then X1 is equal to 42. So sample proportion P1 equal to 42 divided by 100, first one. And second line, sample size 18 out of another random sample of 100 smokers. So N2, small n2, sample size, that is equal to 100. If X2 is the smokers prefer brand B, that is 18, then so P2, the sample proportion small p2, which is equal to 18 by 100. So it is clearly given, right? So test whether the 8% difference is valid claim at 5% level of significance. We'll see. So given N1 equal to 200, N2 is equal to 100, X1 be the person prefer brand A, that is 42, and X2 be the number of person prefer brand B, that is 18. So P1 is the sample proportion prefer brand A. P1 is equal to X1 by N1, that is equal to 0.21. P2 is the sample proportion of person prefer brand B. So P2 is equal to X2 by N2, that is equal to 0.18. To test 8% difference between two brand is valid, right? So difference between two brands. So we are taking the population, brand A total, right? Brand B total, right? Not sample, right? That is why capital P1 minus capital 2. Difference between two brands, right? When you are talking about brand whole size, then you have to take the population proportion, right? So P1, capital P1 minus P2 is equal to 8%. So that is equal to 0.08. Whether we have to check P1 minus P2 equal to 0.08 is valid. Defining a hypothesis, so P1 minus P2 is valid. That is we are taking which is equal to 0.08, right? So alternate hypothesis is not valid. It is not true, right? So level of significance they have given 5%. Test statistics P1 minus P2 minus P1 minus P2, that is also given. So note that. So we change the formula, minus P1 minus P2 divided by root PQ by N1 plus PQ by N2. So P is equal to X1 plus X2 by N1 plus N2, right? We are using that formula to calculate capital P. So 42 plus 18 by 200 plus 100. So that is equal to 0.17. Therefore test statistics, so we need Q is equal to 1 minus P, that is equal to 0.83. Substituting the values in test statistics, you will get 0.21 minus 0.18 minus 0.08 divided by root of 0.17 into 0.83 into 1 by 200 plus 1 by 100. So you will get minus 1.087. So calculated value is the modulus value, that is 1.087. So we know tabulated value at 5% level 1.96. So conclusion, tabulated is greater than the calculated, that is calculated is less than tabulated, therefore H0 is accepted. So 8% difference in population proportion is valid, right? Next problem. On the basis of basis of their total score, 200 candidates of civil service examination are divided into two groups, the upper 30% and remaining 70%, right? Consider the first question of this examination. Among the first group 40 had the correct answer, whereas among the second group 80 had the correct answer. On the basis of these results, can one conclude that the first question is no good at discriminating ability of the type being examined here? So here 200 candidates they have taken. So first 30% first group, 70% second group, right? So they are taking the first question in the examination. So in that first question, so 40 had correct answer. So 30% of 200%, out of that 40 had the correct answer. They answered correct. The second group 80 number of, that is 70% of 200, right? 80 had the correct answer. So they are asking, this first question is exactly dividing the judging the ability of the students, right? That is what we have to check. So given total number of candidates 200, so 30% of 200, that is sample size n1, so 60. The second size n2 is 70% of 200, that is 140. X1 be the number of candidates from the first group had the correct answer, that is 40. So X2 be the number of candidates from the second group having the correct answer, that is 80. P1 is the sample proportion from the first group had correct answer. So X1 by N1 0.667. So P2 is the from the second group. So P2 is equal to X2 by N2 0.5714. Define a hypothesis. H0 is equal to P1 equal to P2. There is no difference. It is not discriminating. It is not correctly judging. No significant difference. Both are same. Alternate hypothesis, there is a difference, right? First group and second group. Level of significance 5%. Test statistics. First we are going to calculate P x1 plus x2 by n1 plus n2. So 40 plus 80 by 60 plus 140, that is equal to 0.6. Q is equal to 1 minus P, that is equal to 0.4. So test statistics, P1 minus P2 by root of PQ into 1 by N1 plus 1 by N2. Substituting the values, 0.6667 minus 0.5714 divided by root of 0.6, 0.4 into 1 by 60 plus 1 by 40. So answer is 1.261. So calculated value of Z is 1.261. Tabulated value is 1.96. Right? We know the value from the table. So comparing these two, conclusion, calculated value is less than tabulated value, H0 is accepted. So there is no significant difference. One can conclude that the first question is no good at discriminating ability. It is not judging the candidate, right? Thanks.